From a spiritual perspective, is it ever okay to wish harm on somebody else? We've got to talk about this today because the pearl clutchers and the Bible thumpers are back. Now, it's not that I feel that I need to address the haters, but this is actually a really great topic of conversation for people who are on a spiritual path or in spiritual awakening, or maybe you're deconstructing from spirituality in some way. This is a really great question, and there's actually a lot of nuance to it. So let's get into it. If you know me and you follow me, and you know that my wishing harm on someone was me wishing Trump would just die of a stroke already, then you know what I think about this. That someone who is a rapist, a fraud, an abuser, whose administration is actively kidnapping families, separating children, putting people in cages, then yeah, it's for the greater good that he is out of here. And I make no apologies, none whatsoever, for that statement. But as I said, there is a lot of nuance to this conversation. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of the people who wandered into the comments on that video, probably red hatters, probably those sleepy Republicans who really haven't woken up from their religious indoctrination where it's black and white, do or don't. And that explicit indoctrination is what has allowed them to become brainwashed, to become groomed by their authoritarian leaders. And so it allows them to get away with literal murder while people say, we can't wish harm on them. Oh, this is actually part of something called the Demoralization of America. And it's actually a pretty heavy topic. And it's something I first became aware of when several years ago, a video surfaced of a former KGB agent who was talking very frankly and quite startlingly about Russia's plan to infiltrate the psyops we've been talking about, the psychological operations, to infiltrate American society on many various levels, to literally destroy us from within. Now, when I first saw that video, it was sobering and it was terrifying because I realized, oh shit, they have succeeded. Now, that is a big, heavy topic for another time, but what I want to talk about in particular, the one thing he did talk about, is that part of the plan was to demoralize the country, meaning to skew our sense of morality so completely that there was no longer any clear sense of what is right and what is wrong. And in doing so, they not only weaken us, but it makes us fight each other rather than the true enemy. And isn't that what we've been seeing? And even if you just look at the comments on that video, it's the one a few posts ago, 2 or 3 posts ago, it has almost 500,000 views. The people in the comments are fighting me, wishing me harm. Oh, and believe me, there are hundreds more comments that I have deleted and blocked. Horrible comments coming at me for laughing about this man and wishing he would just drop dead already, rather than addressing the true moral failing of that man and his administration and what they are doing. They would rather attack me and call me a bad person and me unspiritual, rather than accept the truth that some actions are inexcusable. And that is where our anger and our vitriol belongs. Because if we cannot agree on what is morally right or wrong, we will continue to fight each other and we will never solve the problems in front of us. We will never unite together against a common enemy. And ironically, that KGB agent meant other countries, but we're seeing it now because that other country in particular has installed this presidential leader. So we're not fighting him together. People are still too busy fighting each other, policing each other over issues that frankly are wrong or don't matter. But that's where we're at. So this sense of blind morality or misplaced morality has really become the loudest force in American culture. And we see that most prominently in the religious right, the hard right. The groups that actively fight against LGBTQ+, that deny the Black Lives Matter movement, all these sorts of things. They're so busy focused on what their leaders have called right and wrong that they don't have an authentic sense of morality. Now, of course, I'm generalizing, but I have seen this as I'm literally right now in the parking lot of a Mormon church in Utah, a church I was born and raised into, but since left in my adulthood many years ago. And I've seen it in that religion. that they are so caught up in the tenets of what their leaders say, the letter of the law, the black and white thinking, that they have lost any sense of innate, intuitive, what is right in the moment kind of thinking. They blindly protect their principles without stopping to question whether or not those principles are actually harmful or right, or whether the God they believe in actually would advocate for such principles. So at the end of all this, is there a remedy? Is there a way out? Yeah, I think we're actually seeing it. Believe it or not, we may be at the beginnings, but we are seeing it in that both sides of the aisle are starting to unite together against the pedophile in the White House. Yes, I have to whisper. I don't want to get flagged. It's harder for them to flag me if you can't quite hear what I'm saying. So we are seeing moral outrage. It's just not everyone on the right has woken up to it yet. So when they come across a post like mine saying, "Get him out, I hope he dies," then they're still clutching their pearls and thumping their Bibles and throwing their red hats in despair that I'm such a horrible person and could say such a thing. But as their awakening continues to grow, and as their illusions continue to shatter about this man that they have propped up, they will begin to do that deconstruction work, that pulling of the threads that I've talked about, to get them to not only, it begins with questioning him, the campaign promises he made, the morality he pledges to stand behind. And as they begin to pull that thread, it continues and continues until they can start questioning bigger things. Like, is it really morally wrong to want justice for a despicable human who has hurt countless other people? Now, that deconstruction work is a work in and to itself. But those of us who are not in those trappings, who are awake and aware, who have either deconstructed or just never been a part of that tangled web, the mindfuckery that is religion, those of us on the other side of things, we're approaching this from another perspective, and we are embodying the divine feminine. And the divine feminine, although it contains all the maternal, wonderful, nurturing instincts of femininity, it also includes the dark feminine, which is power. It is rage. It is wielding the sword of justice. And as more and more of us get more comfortable with that, as we are comfortable being the bad guy, of speaking up, of not being pretty, of not being palatable, as we stand more firm in our power, we become able to speak truth to power more confidently, and we invite others to do the same. Because while many people continually bristle when I come out in my divine feminine rage, that bristling is the beginning of an awakening. And then many more who see me stand in my power and say, "Fuck yes, more, I want that, I want to be that," then we become the army who's banding together and walking forward to wield this justice. So the awakening is underway, despite how messy things are right now. And all different factions are coming at this from their different perspectives and angles. And so the end result is a collective awakening of not just political proportions, spiritual proportions. It's of all these mindsets and these thought loops that we're stuck in that actually don't make sense anymore. Not wishing harm on a person stops you from taking action against a person who has harmed you. So all of the awakening serves to get into all of these kinds of beliefs. And as we untangle all of these beliefs, we begin to fix what's wrong in our system. And we can't fix it until we are all collectively aware of the problem. So that's the process we're in right now, and it's underway. And it's messy, but no matter where you're at on the aisle, there's a place for you in the movement of your awakening, of speaking truth, of helping people untangle from their beliefs. It's already underway, and we're going to keep going.